Hello learners, welcome to my channel, Learn with DOZ. Today, we are discussing the importance of strategy in modern business operations. Today's business environment is a fast-paced one. Businesses have to stay competitive and to succeed. Therefore, they need to have a good strategy mapped out in order to do that. So in today's video, we are discussing all about strategy. As I said earlier, this is Learn with DOZ. If you are new to this channel, I'll kindly request you to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell as a way of supporting the channel. Let's get into the lesson proper. What is strategy? I always love to begin with the what question type. This question type gives a clear idea as to what discussion is at hand. So strategy is a plan of action designed to achieve a long-term goal. Plan of action. We are talking about specific or crucial activities that businesses need to embark on in order to achieve their overall goals, that is, their long-term goals. Long-term goals, we are talking about goals that businesses take about a year to 5 years to achieve. It is about making deliberate decisions to allocate resources and prioritize efforts. Businesses need to be deliberate in their resource allocation. They need to know which resources they are allocating, for what, and where they are allocating the resources. They have to be intentional about their efforts, which effort they are putting into their various activities in order to achieve their long-term goals. A good strategy assists firms or businesses navigate uncertainty and stay ahead of competition. The business environment today is full of many uncertainties, and a good strategy in place helps businesses to maneuver this uncertainty so that they can stay competitive and on top of their gains. Now, we know what a strategy is. Let's move on to why businesses need to have strategy in place. There are so many reasons why businesses must have strategy in place. For the sake of today's video, we are going to look at 5 major reasons why businesses ought to have strategy in place. Firstly, strategy clarifies purpose and direction. Businesses that do not have clear purpose and direction, that is to say, they do not know why they exist, why they do the things they do, where they are going, they are doomed from the beginning. Strategy seeks to solve the issue of lack of clarity in business operations and ambiguities. When businesses do not know why they are heading in a particular direction or trajectory, when they don't have a clear idea as to why they are embarking on a specific project or they are pursuing a specific course of action, the businesses are likely to fail. That's why they need strategy, so that they can avoid that failure. Secondly, strategy focuses resources on key objectives. Key objectives. Key objectives are crucial or specific objectives or activities that businesses need to embark on in order to achieve their long-term goals. So strategy assists businesses to focus their resources towards these key activities in order to achieve their goals and helping the business to stay competitive. Thirdly, strategy assists businesses to adapt to changing market conditions and environments. Market conditions are not static. They are subjected to changes. So strategy assists businesses in adapting to these changes. There are times market conditions are favorable, other times they are not. But when a business has a strategy in place, it enables the business to maneuver through these transitions, moments where the market are changing and moments where they are not changing. Market environments. We have basically two types of market environments. We have the internal environment and the external environment. The internal environment are the controllables. These are environments that businesses can control and influence. With respect to the external environment, on the other hand, businesses do not have the capacity or the power to influence or to control these environments. That's why they are called the uncontrollables. So mostly it's advised that businesses should learn how to adapt to these environments. And having a good strategy in place helps businesses to do exactly that. Fourthly, strategy enhances decision making and prioritization. When businesses have strategy in place, it improves decision making and help businesses to be intentional in terms of prioritization. Decision making. What I'm saying is there are decisions that are important and they are urgent. There are other decisions that are important but they are not urgent. And there are decisions that are urgent and they are not important. And we also have decisions that are not urgent and they are not important. So having a strategy in place helps businesses to know which decision needs their attention, where to put in their efforts, and which decision to prioritize. Yeah? And lastly, strategy drives innovation and growth. In the business world today, in order to survive, businesses need to embrace innovation. You don't have to be dogmatic. Businesses need to put in new processes. They need to embrace creativities in their idea generation. They need to come up with ideas that are going to provide value for customers. Once they are able to do that, this is going to open opportunities for growth, thereby helping the business to stay competitive and to stay on top of their game. So these are reasons why strategy is important. Great. Now we know what a strategy is and why it is important. Let's focus our attention now to major components of a good strategy. The key word is good. So for a strategy to be considered as good, the strategy needs to consist of these components. 1. A good strategy should have clear goals and objectives. Goals and objectives are not the same. Goals are the broader and long-term plans businesses are hoping to achieve. And objectives are specific or narrowed down plans that businesses undertake in order to achieve the long-term plans, or what we call goals. So for a strategy to be considered as good, it has to lay out a clear goal or objective that a business is hoping to achieve. The goal or the objective have to be SMART. It should be specific, it should be measurable, it should be attainable, it should be realistic, and it should be timely. So always ensure that the goals and objectives that is laid out within your strategy as a business should pass through the SMART framework. Yeah? Secondly, a good strategy should have a deep understanding of the market and competition. I always like to use the war analogy to put across my point.
As a warrior, you can't wake up one morning without having a battle plan, without having an understanding of the war you are going to fight or the battle you are going to fight, without having a clear picture of who you are going to fight, without knowing who they are, their strengths, their weaknesses, the resources available to them. Once you set up as a warrior and just go to battle without doing your homework, you are obviously going to be defeated. So as a business, once you are competing in a market or in an industry, the business have to have a clear picture of what that market is. You have to know the target audience of the market. You have to know the nature of the competition within the market. You have to know the total market share. And there are other information as a business you have to have at your fingertip. The business needs to know who they are up against, their competitors. Who are they? What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? Why are they thriving? It is important. And a good strategy should consist of this information. If the strategy doesn't consist of this information, it means the business has to go back to the drawing board and re-strategize and rework the strategy. Thirdly, a good strategy should have a well-defined target audience. Resources are limited in supply, and it is impossible for businesses to serve the entire market. So they have to be strategic when serving the market. First of all, businesses need to look at the available resource. And after assessing the resource they have at hand, they should be able now to ask themselves, looking at the resource I have, which percentage of the market can I serve? And looking at the mission and the purpose of the organization or the business, who can we serve? These are your target audience. So a good strategy should ensure that the business target audience are well defined. When businesses pick up the strategy, they should know who they are serving and in what capacity are they serving these people. Great. Finally, a good strategy should have a plan for resources allocation and execution. There should be a detailed plan within the strategy or on how resources are going to be distributed or allocated. And they should have a clear plan on execution. Funny enough, many businesses have great plans, but these plans mostly are not executed. And without execution, all the energy that was put in ensuring that a great plan is developed goes to waste. So execution is key. Yeah? Great.
Finally, let's move on to common strategy mistakes businesses are likely to make. We are going to look at 4 of these mistakes. 1. Businesses are likely to develop a strategy that lacks clarity and focus. When a strategy is ambiguous, that is, it does not have a defined purpose and it does not state clearly the direction that the business is moving towards, it is impossible for the business to achieve its goals and objectives using that strategy. The strategy should be clear as much as possible so that the business can stay competitive and achieve its intended purpose or goals. Yeah? 2. Failure to adapt to changing circumstances and market environment. After coming up with a great strategy, when there is changes in the business circumstances and market environment, businesses are unlikely to go back to their strategy to ensure that these changes are incorporated in their strategy, and that is a mistake. One thing that is constant in the business world is change. So when there is a change in the business circumstance or the market environment, businesses need to quickly go back to their strategy to ensure that their strategy conforms to these changes. When these changes are not infected in the strategy, it makes it difficult for the strategy to be effective, and therefore the strategy is unable to meet the business need and to serve the purpose for which it was developed. Thirdly, insufficient resource allocation. When a business is developing a strategy, they are most likely not to consider the availability of the resources they have. They develop a very clear strategy. They incorporate the changes that happen within the business environment, but then they direct limited or insufficient resources to the implementation of the strategy. And when the resources that is directed to the implementation of the strategy is limited, the strategy will not be able to achieve the business goals or objective because the strategy will be unable to be executed effectively. So when a business is coming up with a strategy, the business has to ensure that it has enough resource available to achieve the purpose of the strategy. The business should ensure that there is enough resources available to make sure that the various activities that need to be undertaken for the strategy to be effectively implemented are available. Yeah? Finally, not monitoring and evaluating progress. So after coming up with a great strategy, taking into consideration changes, and having enough resources for the execution of the strategy. When the strategy is being executed, businesses ignore the monitoring and evaluation aspects. The monitoring and evaluation aspect is very paramount because when the strategy is being implemented, monitoring and evaluation help the business to know whether the strategy is performing as it should, whether the actual performance of the strategy is meeting the standard performance. If the actual is not meeting the standard performance, the business knows exactly that there is a gap. So the next step is to know why the gap exists. When the business understands why the gap exists, the business will be able to take the corrective measure to ensure that the gap is corrected. When this is done, the strategy becomes effective and is able to achieve the intended purpose. Okay? So now, let's wrap up today's lesson. We said strategy is important for modern business operation. We went further by saying that strategy assists businesses or firms to navigate uncertainty, stay ahead of competition, and accomplish long-term success or goals. And we also said that goals and objectives need to pass through the SMART framework. That is, they should be smart, meaning they should be specific, they should be measurable, they should be attainable, they should be realistic, and they should be timely. Yeah? And we said that businesses have to remember to clarify their direction, focus their resources, and adapt to change in the market environment and execute effectively. Yeah? So all too soon, we have come to the end of today's lesson. Thank you so much for watching. Kindly subscribe, comment, like, and share this video. Bye.